I found out my wife's affair on the same day I planned to share my terminal diagnosis. Now I'm rethinking how I want to spend my days alone. My name is Daniel. I'm 38 years old, and in a single morning, my life split into before and after. I woke up ready to reveal the darkest truth about my future, but instead uncovered the darkest truth about my marriage. Original post. I, 38-year-old husband, who thought he married his safest place. Now I'm standing in the ruins of that illusion, questioning whether I even want anyone beside me for however long I have left. I didn't plan for chaos that day. I planned for honesty, brutal, unavoidable honesty. My oncologist had called 3 times that week. I knew why. The tests weren't routine. The urgency in her voice had been unmistakable, but I kept dodging the call, like the news could change if I ignored it long enough. That morning, though, I finally answered. I listened, and everything felt like it was drifting apart, even before the real earthquake hit. I showered, got dressed, tried to rehearse the speech I'd been avoiding. I'd planned to tell my wife, Natalie, after dinner. I imagined the scene, her eyes widening, her hand covering her mouth, her voice breaking as she whispered, "We'll get through this. I'm here. I'm with you." I needed that illusion more than oxygen. I didn't know she'd already chosen someone else to be with. Even now I replay the morning in slow motion. The sunlight creeping through the curtains, the smell of coffee drifting from the kitchen, the soft hum of the dishwasher. Nothing in that peaceful silence hinted that my marriage was already dead. When I came downstairs, Natalie was sitting at the counter, phone in hand, smiling at her screen in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. Not the casual, polite smile, a real one. The kind you give someone who makes you feel alive. "Morning," I said. She flinched an instinctive, guilty jolt, then flipped her phone face down. "Morning," she echoed, overly bright. "You're up early." I wasn't. She just didn't expect me to watch her smiling like that. A tiny crack formed in my chest, but I swallowed it. I had bigger things to worry about, or so I thought. I sat beside her, reached for a mug, and before I could even pour the coffee, her phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. Same contact name. M. Just the initial. Clean, neutral, but too deliberate. Too safe. Natalie reached for the phone with a speed that almost made her slip off the stool. "I'll get that," she said quickly. "I didn't ask," I replied. She froze just for a second, but I saw it. The panic in her eyes, the calculation, the silent prayer that I wouldn't push further. But I didn't need to push. My gut already knew. Still, I couldn't deal with that. Not then. Not with the other storm hanging over me. I kissed her cheek, told her I'd be home early for dinner, and left the house pretending everything was fine. It wasn't. By 11 a.m., I had sat through the longest appointment of my life. The doctor's words felt like they were coming from the bottom of a deep well. Aggressive. Progressed. Limited options. We need to start soon. I didn't cry. I just nodded. My mind was strangely blank. I'd expected this, but hearing it was different. Final. Heavy. Like someone had placed bricks inside my lungs. I walked to my car on autopilot, hands trembling as I unlocked the door. I sat there for a long time, gripping the steering wheel, rehearsing again how I'd tell her. My wife, the woman I built a life with. I texted her, "Dinner at 7? Need to talk." She replied instantly, "Of course, can't wait." The heart emoji was almost insulting. I drove home slowly, feeling like each mile peeled back another layer of denial. And yet somehow, part of me still believed she'd be my anchor through all this. 10 minutes from home, I stopped at a red light. My phone buzzed. Group chat with our neighbors. Random messages. Someone planning a barbecue. Someone asking who left a package in the wrong mailbox. Harmless chatter, until one of the wives wrote, "Saw Natalie at the cafe again with that guy. If she keeps this up, people will start talking LO." My heart instantly dropped. One of the husbands responded with a gif. Another joked something crude. I stared at the screen, frozen, pulse hammering in my ears. Then another message appeared from our neighbor Laura, who didn't joke. Not trying to be messy, but whoever that man is. Nat looked very comfortable today. My vision blurred. My throat tightened. Everything inside me twisted. I typed, "Who was she with?" but deleted it. I didn't want to ask publicly, didn't want to invite the humiliation. Not yet. Instead, I messaged Laura privately. You okay to tell me what you saw? Seconds later, she replied, Daniel, I thought you already knew. My stomach shattered. Knew what? My stomach shattered. Knew what? I'm so sorry. That guy she's been meeting? It's not work-related. It looked intimate, like they were arguing today but still holding each other. I didn't want to interfere. I didn't respond. Couldn't. The world was spinning too fast. My first reaction wasn't anger. It was a hollow, bone-deep sadness, so heavy I couldn't even breathe. Because I realized she wasn't going to be my anchor. She wasn't even mine anymore. For a moment, I wondered if this was the universe's idea of a sick joke. Terminal diagnosis on the same day I discover my wife's affair. My life felt like a movie written by a cruel screenwriter. I needed answers. I needed the truth. But I also needed something else. Evidence. Because I wasn't about to collapse into her arms crying about dying while she snuck off to someone else's. So I drove straight past our house and parked at the end of the block. I sat there watching, waiting, observing the unfamiliar patterns I'd ignored for months. Her car was already home. She was inside, cleaning, cooking, texting him. I didn't want to go in yet. I needed time to gather myself. At 6:15, a black car pulled up across the street. A man stepped out. Athletic build, clean haircut, confident. He looked around, checking the houses, then walked toward ours, no hesitation. My blood ran cold. I slid lower in my seat, watching. He reached our front door, lifted his hand, and knocked. I held my breath. Natalie opened the door almost instantly, too quickly, like she was waiting for him. She stepped outside, closed the door behind her, whispered something I couldn't hear. He grabbed her wrist, gentle but firm, and I saw her lean in, forehead touching his chest. A lover's gesture. My vision tunneled. She wasn't just cheating. She was emotionally attached to him. I waited, watched. Every instinct I had screamed to confront them right then, to drag him off my porch, to demand answers. But I didn't move. Not yet. Not without understanding exactly what kind of betrayal I was dealing with. The man said something. She looked upset, guilty. Then she glanced around and whispered, "Not here." They walked to his car. She got in on the passenger side. I followed from a distance, careful, methodical, even though my heart was breaking into powder. They drove to a side road near the park. Parked, talked, argued, kissed, kissed again. I watched through blurry eyes, hands shaking around the steering wheel. Then came the part that broke the last piece of me. She said something. He pulled back, shocked. She nodded. He buried his face in his hands. They weren't talking about mundane stuff. This was serious, heavy, emotional. I didn't know then what she told him, but later I'd find out. She told him she loved him. She told him she was planning to leave me. She told him she felt trapped in our marriage. Meanwhile, I was preparing to tell her I might not survive the next few years. I didn't cry. Not there. Not in that car. Something inside me froze instead. Calm, cold, almost clinical. I realized I wasn't the one dying alone. Our marriage had been dying long before my diagnosis. At 6:50, she got out of his car, wiped her cheeks, fixed her makeup, and headed home. I gave her 2 minutes, then drove up and parked. She opened the door with a smile too bright, too rehearsed. "Dinner's almost ready," she chirped. I stared at her. Really stared. The woman I loved. The woman who loved someone else. "I need to talk to you," I said quietly. Her smile faltered. "Sure. After dinner?" "No," I replied. "Now." Her face drained of color. This was it. The moment everything would unravel. She didn't sit, didn't blink, didn't breathe. She stood there gripping the back of a chair like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "What's wrong?" she whispered. I didn't answer immediately. I walked past her, placed my keys on the counter, and looked around the kitchen. The candles she set up, the plates arranged neatly, the illusion of a normal home trying so hard to mask the rot underneath. "You were out earlier," I said calmly. She hesitated. "Just errands." "No," I replied. "Try again." Her eyes flickered. Fear, guilt, calculation. "Daniel." What are you talking about? I took out my phone, opened the video I recorded. Her and the man at the park. The car, the conversation, the kiss. I pressed play. Her face collapsed. She watched herself kissing him, clinging to him, whispering things I could only partially hear, but felt like sharp blades anyway. No, Daniel. Please, just listen. No, I said. You listen. I paused the video on the moment she leaned into his chest. I followed you. I saw everything. Her hands flew to her mouth. She stumbled back like the truth physically hit her. I'm sorry, she cried. I didn't know what to do. I didn't mean for it to happen. Stop, I said sharply. Don't lie, not now. She broke down, shaking, tears spilling down her face. But I wasn't moved. I'd already poured every ounce of heartbreak into the first 1,000 silent screams inside my head earlier. Now I was numb. How long? I asked. She hesitated. How long? I repeated. Her lips trembled. 8 months. 8 months. 8 months she'd been building a life with another man while sleeping beside me. 8 months of late errands, work dinners, girl nights. 8 months of lies layered over lies while I was sitting in hospital gowns, waiting for doctors to tell me if I'd even have a next year. I inhaled slowly, controlled, cold. You were going to leave me? I asked. She froze, blinked, then nodded, barely. I didn't know how to tell you, she stammered. I didn't want to hurt you. You didn't want to hurt me? I snapped. You were kissing him an hour ago. She sobbed harder, reaching for me, but I stepped back. Don't, I warned. Don't touch me. She collapsed into the chair, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. I let the silence stretch, let the weight of everything settle around us. Then I told her the part she never saw coming. I have a terminal diagnosis. Her crying stopped instantly, like someone hit pause on her emotions. She lifted her head slowly, eyes wide and red, breath caught in her chest. What? She whispered. You heard me. Her voice cracked. What do you mean terminal? What happened? What? Daniel, tell me. I laughed. Not a happy laugh. A bitter, hollow one. You don't get to ask me questions, I said. You don't get to play the concerned wife. Not after today. She reached for me again, trembling, desperate. Daniel, please. You should have told me. Why didn't you tell me? We could have. We. I cut her off. There is no we. Her face twisted in pain, genuine pain, but I didn't let it in. I couldn't. You weren't planning to be here, I continued. You were planning to leave me. Him, the man you love, the man you chose. No, she cried. It wasn't like that. I was confused. I was scared. Scared of what? I asked. Being bored? Being married? Being loyal? She shook her head, crying harder, trying to explain, trying to reach back into a past she'd burned to ash. I didn't know how to tell you, she repeated weakly. I didn't know how to walk away. So you cheated instead. She didn't reply, because there was nothing she could say. I stepped back and pulled the envelope from my pocket, the medical report I'd spent the morning trying not to stare at. I tossed it onto the table. She grabbed it with shaking hands, eyes darting over the words, her face growing paler with every line she read. By the time she finished, she looked like a ghost. Daniel, she whispered, I'm so sorry. Are you? I asked. Or are you afraid he'll leave you once he finds out you were lying to him too? Her eyes widened. I wasn't lying. You told him you'd leave me, I said. You told him you loved him. She flinched like I slapped her. What did he say? I demanded. She swallowed hard. He told me he wasn't ready. Of course he wasn't, I muttered. They never are. She cried again, but I was done with the crying. Done with pretending she was the woman I married. Done with hoping I'd spend whatever time I had left with a partner who wanted me. I pulled out my phone. Who are you calling? She panicked. Him. No, Daniel, please don't. But it was too late. His number was in the messages she'd forgotten to delete properly. I dialed. He answered on the second ring. Hello? His voice calm, confident, too comfortable. This is Daniel, I said. Silence. Long, breathless silence. Then, look, man, I don't want problems. You already have one, I replied. Come get her. She wants to be with you. Natalie screamed, no, Daniel, please stop. Please don't do this. I ignored her. She's free now, I said. She's all yours, he sputtered. That's not… Look, this is between you two. You made it between us, I said. Come get her or don't, I don't care. But she's not staying here tonight. Natalie sobbed, begging me to stop, reaching for the phone, but I held it away. The man inhaled sharply. I think it's better if we all calm down. I'm not getting involved. Coward. I hung up. Natalie collapsed onto the floor like her bones gave out. I'm not going with him, she cried. I don't want him. I want you. I want our life. Please, please don't do this. You already did this, I said quietly. You chose him. You chose lies. You chose to throw everything away. She shook her head violently. I was stupid. I was selfish. I didn't know… Daniel, please. I didn't know you were sick. And that matters? I asked. If I wasn't sick, you'd still be cheating. She froze, because we both knew it was true. I went upstairs, packed her a small bag. Nothing sentimental, nothing emotional, just the essentials. When I returned, she was still on the floor, sobbing like her lungs were collapsing. You have to go, I said. She shook her head. No, I'm not leaving you like this. I'm not abandoning you. You abandoned me 8 months ago. You can't do this, she whispered. Not when you're sick. Not when you need someone. I stared at her. Oh, I need someone, I said. Just not someone who betrays me. She cried harder, clinging to my legs, begging, apologizing, promising. I didn't budge. Finally, I picked up my phone and dialed. Not him. Someone better, her older brother. When he answered, I said, Come get your sister. He asked nothing. He just said, I'll be there in 5. 5 minutes later, he showed up. Angry, confused, protective. She cried to him, clung to him, tried to twist the story, but I handed him the video. He watched. His jaw tightened. He didn't defend her. Didn't justify her. He said only one thing. Get up. You're coming with me. She screamed as he dragged her out, gently but firmly. She shouted my name. Begged, pleaded. I didn't move. When the door finally shut behind them, the silence felt like a crater. Deep, heavy, final. I sat at the table alone, staring at the medical report, staring at the empty chair where she used to sit. I expected to break down, to fall apart. But something strange happened instead. I felt relief, real, crushing, overwhelming relief. Because for the first time all day, I wasn't pretending. I wasn't clinging to a dying marriage. I wasn't giving my heart to someone who already gave hers to someone else. I was free. Hours later, I got a text from her brother. She's safe. She's staying with me. I told her not to contact you unless you're ready. I'm sorry, man. I replied, thank you. Another message came in from a neighbor. Saw everything? Proud of you for standing up for yourself. Then another. If you ever need help, groceries, rides, anything, let us know. Then another. Unexpected support, unexpected community. People who cared more in one evening than my wife had in months. I thought the night would end in despair. Instead, it ended with clarity. I didn't know how much time I had left. Months? Years? No one knew. But I knew one thing for certain. Whatever days I had left, I was going to spend them honestly, peacefully, without lies, without betrayal, without someone pretending to love me while loving someone else behind my back. I wasn't rethinking how to spend my days because I was dying. I was rethinking them because I finally chose myself. And for the first time all year, I could breathe.